Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are around the world. Thank you for joining the pre-Christmas HR Funk live stream. I almost a live stream. And if you don't happen to celebrate Christmas, whatever you celebrate, wherever you are, I hope you have a happy and festive time of year. And to all of you who do celebrate Christmas, an early Merry Christmas to you. Thanks for tuning in. I actually started things a few minutes early this morning because historically, when I've started these up, I've run into some problems and had to mess around and try to get things going. So in order to try to avoid all of that, I tried to start things off a few minutes early. So that way, if I did have problems, at least I would be starting on time. And already we have with us Charles Cook, Ben Crane. Good morning, Ben. Chris Chiampo, thanks for joining. And I have a feeling in a couple of minutes, we're going to have more people joining in. And if you saw the announcement that I did for this is something I've been wanting to do for a while, where I do an early morning live stream. Usually I do these later in the evening, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, which works out well for everyone in the U.S. But I've got viewers in Europe, viewers in the Middle East, and at least one, John Rhee on Guam, who tunes in on these. And this shouldn't even be too late for him. It should be just about 11 o'clock in the evening over in Guam. So I hope John joins us today. Art Grote, good morning. And Carson Branham, good morning, or bonjour. And I hope everyone has your coffee. I have mine. So I will be sipping that as the morning goes on. Without coffee, my heart usually stops. So I have to drink several cups in the morning just to get it going again and try to wake up and remember who I am and what it is I'm supposed to be doing and everything else. Mr. Firebird V8, good morning to you. Thanks for joining. And I hope everyone, as you've been working your way through this December and through this Christmas season, is managing to enjoy yourself with the way 2020 has gone so far. And I even noticed this when I went Christmas shopping a week or so ago. There's just a different feel this year. And maybe it's got something to do with the masks and the social distancing and all that, but it just doesn't quite seem like Christmas time to me. Or at least it hasn't when I've been out so far. So I hope all of you are, whether you think it's a little odd this year or not, still able to enjoy this time of year and enjoy the season. John Pepper, good morning to you. A lot of things have been going on lately on the channel. And one of the things I want to make you aware of, and I might be saying this a couple of times during the live stream today, just to kind of get the word out. In this latter half of December, I'm probably going to be posting fewer videos. Reason being, with the holidays and with traveling and shopping and all that kind of thing, I just don't have as much time to get out and make the videos. Now, I have one that I recorded yesterday that will probably be coming up as the midweek update this coming Wednesday. And I've got another one, excuse me, that should be pretty easy for me to make and pretty quick. And I want to get that one recorded. And I'll probably get that one up maybe next Saturday or maybe the following week. But if you go a Saturday or a Wednesday and you don't see a video, don't worry, I've not stopped making them or anything else. And after the first of the year, things will probably go back to pretty much the same schedule as before. Although, if the weather pattern here in Ohio follows its typical pattern, then probably the videos you see are going to be more in the shop, but not as many out on the range. Although I still get out there once in a while and have recorded some videos in the snow and everything else. One of the biggest problems with going out in inclement weather, though, is my video equipment, which is not waterproof by any stretch of the imagination. So I always have to be kind of concerned about that and make sure I don't ruin anything that I'm using to record the videos. Looks like we have a question up here this morning. Ad H, how's it going? Just been to the range with some 223 Federal Tactical TRU 55 grain soft points. Shot just over an inch at 100 yards. And that's pretty good stuff. I've shot that before. And that stuff and the, what's the Hornady load? They have one, the Hornady Tap. Both of those are good 556 loads. Not only are they accurate, but they're also good in terms of their terminal performance. Ben Crane, this morning it's shocking. Oh, it's stocking mill coffees. Wait a second. It's stocking Mill Coffee's Midnight Run. It's a great dark roast. All right, good. Jeff Sams, good morning. Dennis Rizzuti, good morning to you. And John Gilmore, good morning. We have people slowly joining us this morning. What time is it? 8 o'clock. So this was the time that I set for the live stream to begin. So I'd imagine a lot of people are going to be joining us here. But along with the video schedule, I do have some interesting things coming up. I'm looking forward to finally getting these last few qualification challenge videos recorded. Those things have been taking up a lot of my time. When I started this little project with the qualification videos, I didn't really quite know what I was getting myself into. And now at this point, it's a year and a half since I first started the project. And it's probably going to take me, by the time I'm all done, close to 2 years. It's been quite a little undertaking, but it's been very educational. And I hope a lot of you that are following that series are getting a lot of things from it. Looks like I got another question here. Wish you had an indoor range in Worcester. You know, indoor ranges are a mixed blessing. It's nice this time of year to have just some place you can go and shoot. But whenever I shoot on an indoor range, I feel so limited because you have to stand in this place to shoot from, and you have to have your target at a certain distance, and sometimes that distance is limited. On the outdoor ranges, particularly the ranges I use that have 270-degree coverage with the berms, I can set targets in whatever kind of crazy array I want and be able to move and shoot and do different things. And I really enjoy that. And I just feel very limited on an indoor range. It's better than nothing, but it's just not the same as being in the great outdoors. Connor Tags, heard the XTP bullet perform the best when it comes to the 380. Wouldn't have a clue, but Hornady doesn't make bad ammo. I've had good luck with the XTP bullets over the years in general. I've used them in hunting ammunition. I used the 240 grain XTP for my deer load in a 44 Magnum for many years, and I took several deer with that cartridge out of handguns. That's what I still use for deer hunting here in Ohio. A lot of times I'll use my lever action Marlin 1894 with that same load, but I really like the XTP bullets. And I think it's going to be as good, if not better, than anything else in 380. Let's see. Black Rifle. Good morning, Rick. Glad you're joining us from South Carolina. And let's see. I think I missed something with Ad H because he's talking about a Tika T3, had a 1-in-8 twist. Oh, okay. That was what you're using with the TRU ammo you're talking about. 1-in-8 twist, cheap to shoot, really good ammo. Like you say, good ammo, like you say, kept the brass. Good. John Ski is joining us. Good morning, John. With gun confiscation incoming, you'll have to find a new channel subject. How about baking? You guys like cookies? We could do something like that. GCJT 1949, good morning to you. Thanks for joining. Ben's back with another comment. There's an indoor range down in Strasburg. Yeah, and I've been down there before. It's been a while, but I've been in that shop. I know the one you're talking about, Ohio. I always get it wrong. It's either Ohio Armory or Ohio Armament. And whichever one I think it is, it's always the other one. But I have been there. I don't think I've ever shot on their indoor range, but I've seen it. Scott Persons here from North Carolina. Good morning, Scott. Black Rifle needs some 357 Magnum 180 grain for your 1894. Works good on pig. And out of the 1894, I'll bet it really does. That would probably be a good load out of that particular carbine. Dale Kidd, good morning, Chief. Nice to see you go full this morning in person. I don't remember mornings well. Yeah, it's good to be here. And if you missed it, I said at the very beginning, I've been wanting to do this for a while. I've got a lot of viewers around the world. And when I do these historically in the evenings, I know it's really late at night for everybody in Europe or the Middle East, or, extremely early in the morning for some other folks. Now, I know today, for any of you who are on the West Coast, it's a little early to try to get up for this. And if you're joining us here, thank you very much for tuning in. But again, I've been thinking about doing an early morning live stream for a while just to accommodate some other viewers. And again, I thought it'd be fun to just talk with all of you over a cup of coffee on a Saturday morning and enjoy this time of the year. And let me get back to some more comments here. Connor tags, what make and model of 1911 feeds hollow points reliably in your experience? It's not so much a make and model as it is how well they're finished. If you have, a polished feed ramp, both on the frame and in the barrel itself, generally speaking, you should get good functioning with hollow points. But the thing you have to keep in mind with the 1911 and all of the older semi-automatics like the Walther PPK and others, the Browning High Power, they were originally designed to work with ball ammunition. That's what's going to run the best. So the design has to be modified in order to work with any kind of hollow point ammunition. Usually, there might be some of them that'll run hollow points okay, just with no modifications whatsoever. But usually look for that good polishing on the frame and on the barrel feed ramp itself. And that's probably the best indicator that it should work well with hollow points. Even so, test your loads and make sure that it's going to function with whatever you're going to carry in there. I think I missed some comments on here. Try to catch up. Kevin Jung, good morning from behind enemy lines. Good morning, Kevin. Keep your head down there. John Ski, any opinion on the 8mm Makarov round? Not really. I've known some people that have spoken kind of highly of that. And I know it's sort of a middle. Actually, I think I'm thinking of the 9mm Mac, not the 8mm, which is kind of a mid step between 9mm Parabellum and the 380 ACP. If there is an 8mm Mac, I'm not familiar with that one. Sorry. The 9mm Makarov, I've heard people speak pretty highly of. Rider 54 is with us. And thank you for joining us. Henry Schmidt, hey, Chief. Does your department face difficulty in keeping the range operating? My department was forced by the courts to close our range due to the citizens living here. No, not yet. Fortunately, our range is kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and there's nothing around us but woods and farm fields, and I hope it stays that way. But I have heard of that situation you're describing happening, where a range starts out in the middle of nowhere, and then slowly housing areas encroach on it. The next thing you know, residents are complaining, and all of a sudden the range is closing down. In my former department, it seemed like every few years there was some kind of a scare that would come around that we were going to lose our range. One time they were going to build an electrical substation on there to power a nearby factory. There was something else they wanted to use that ground for, and it seemed like the city really didn't prioritize that as the police shooting range. It was just a piece of city property, and if there was anything else that came along that somebody might want to use it for, we were in danger of losing it. I was out, I literally had to go out and do qualifications one January when the snow was so deep that I had to have one of the city trucks come out with a snow plow and scrape the snow off the range in order to be able to function and get people through a qualification, because we thought we were going to lose our range later that year. And then it didn't happen. That range is still there. ERJG is with us with a $5 donation. Thank you very much, ER. I appreciate it. And let me get back on here and see where we are comment-wise. William Jones, Merry Christmas. Christ is King, and our citizenship is not here. Well, Merry Christmas to you, William. Johnski 9mm Mac. Okay, that's the one that I was thinking of when you first posted that. And yeah, I've heard good things about the 9mm Mac. I don't think I've ever shot one. I know there was a time where there were some of the pistols that have been imported and you could get the ammunition pretty inexpensively. And I've not seen pistols or ammunition for a while, so I don't know what the status of it is these days. Kevin Jung, just giving an amen to William Jones. Ad H, what's your thoughts on bore snakes? Do you use them for a quick clean once you've been out shooting? I do not, only because I've just never bought any. I don't have anything against them, but I've got all my cleaning gear back here, and I've got portable cleaning kits that I can take with me, and they've all got the traditional cleaning rods and brushes and all that kind of stuff. So normally when I clean, I just use that stuff. A bore snake would be nice if you're out in the field or if you're out at the range, you just want to run something through there. Like I said, I don't have anything against them. Connor Tags, I heard that Sig Sauer 1911 magazines angle the round better than most 1911 magazines. I hear that kind of thing about a lot of magazines. You hear about Wilson Combat, you hear about Mekgar magazines, you hear about it with some other ones. It all depends on how that magazine interfaces with the rest of the pistol. I mean, there are tolerances to everything. Very slight differences in angles of feed ramps and followers and the attitude of the cartridge going in. So, I mean, if you have an issue with a pistol and it's not working, a quick thing to do is to try a different magazine to see if that is going to solve the problem. And it may or may not. A lot of times what you hear with that kind of thing where, this magazine or that magazine or whatever, because of this or that feature makes it so much better than the other ones. Maybe, or maybe that's just marketing. You just never know. Andrew Peterman is with us. Good morning, Andrew. Rick from Black Rifle, my 1911 Springfield likes the HST hollow points. And I like HST ammo too. I tested that stuff a while back for my former police department. And that stuff really performed well. As far as expansion, that stuff expands like crazy in a fluid medium. So that is a good bullet. And the only reason we didn't go with it is because it was more expensive than the Ranger SXT, which is what we did go with. And the Ranger SXT performed almost as well as the HST. So again, very, very good ammunition. And really, when it comes to premium defensive ammunition these days, there's almost not a bad choice. It seems like it all performs very, very well. It's just differing degrees of how well the Remington ammunition, which I think you can still get, tended to penetrate more than the other brands, but it didn't open as much or expand as much. The HST expanded like crazy, great temporary wound cavity, but didn't give quite the penetration. The Ranger SXT kind of split the difference. Same was with Spear Gold Dots. They were pretty much right there with the Ranger SXT too. Where was I here? Kevin Jung, what do you think Kimber 1911s? I've never owned one, and I've heard mixed reviews about them. Some people love them. Some people have problems with them. I don't know if it's a quality control situation with them or what it is, but it just seems like some of their pistols run like crazy and some of them not so much. So if you get a good one, you have a good firearm. They're really nice to look at. They finish them beautifully, but it's the functioning that I tend to hear some issues with every now and again. Kevin Branson, believe in the power of positive thinking. There won't be a communist swearing in. I hope not. Ben Crane is talking about the Wilson 47D mags. I use those in my 1911s, my defensive 1911s, and they work very well. But those also work perfectly fine with the factory magazines, those particular pistols. So I use the Wilsons, but I can't say that they really perform better than the magazines that came from the factory. Talking Rock, good morning from a great state of Georgia. Wow, it must be warm down there. When are you going to shoot the SIG X5 Legion? As soon as I can get a hold of one. I don't have one, so if I manage to get my hands on one, I'll shoot it and let you know what I think of it. And we've got some conversations going on amongst some of you. John Ski is mentioning the $5 donation would have been good for about one round of 9mm ammunition. These days, that's just about right. Carson Branham, what are your thoughts on the 7.62 by 25 Tokarev? That's another one that I have no experience with. Read a little bit about it, but I can't really say anything authoritatively because I just don't have any real knowledge of them or of it. Lonnie Porter, my brother and nephew got me a Ruger Vaquero for your 16th birthday. Now if you just find some 357 Magnum ammo. Yeah, I know. I happen to have a good stockpile of 357 Magnum ammo thanks to one of my viewers out there, he sold me a ton of this stuff back at the beginning of 2020, really for next to nothing. I just basically paid shipping to get it here, and it was like 1,800 rounds of 357 Magnum ammo, most of which I still have. And when you see me using a 357 in the law enforcement qualification videos or something like that, that's the ammunition that I'm using. But I'm even going sparingly on that stuff because I don't know when we're going to be able to purchase that ammo again for a decent price. GCJT, 9mm Mac. Some writers and shooters consider the Mac because it's fast enough to expand. And it's small and light, and the guns were small and light and cheap. Yeah, I know there was one of them, and I can't remember what it was. It was basically a knockoff of a Walther PPK, and it was chambered for the 9mm Mac. And that was one that a lot of people liked. And this is probably going back 15 or maybe 20 years. There had been some of them that were imported. And as I said a little while ago, the ammunition was available and it was relatively inexpensive. But I don't know if both of them might have dried up by now or not. I just don't see that like I did back then. So I'm not sure what the current status of the 9mm Mac is. Connor Tags, haven't appreciated the unsupported chambers on Glocks. I know that's a reliability thing, but it weirds me out. Yeah, given my druthers, I prefer to have a supported chamber, but I've also shot enough pistols that don't have a supported chamber and have not had an issue that it doesn't really bother me that much. As a hand loader, that's one of the things that's always in the back of my mind. And I tend to, particularly in my semi-automatic pistol ammunition, I don't run those loads real hot. I basically get them just hot enough to give me good functioning in the pistol, and that's where I run them. For my practice ammunition, that's good enough. The stuff that I burn up in the qualification videos and things like that. For defensive ammunition, then I tend to use factory ammunition in those particular firearms, so I don't have a problem with that. But I understand what you're saying about the unsupported chambers. Scott Person, I've heard a few stories that the ATF is cracking down on person-to-person sales, treated the seller as a dealer until proven innocent. I have not heard that, but I will keep an ear out just in case that's going on. It seems to me, and I'll branch off just a little bit into the political area. I don't want to go too far down this road, but it seems like since Joe Biden was declared the presumptive president-elect, that everything, whether it's TV commercials or things that I hear in the news or various government agencies, it seems to already be kind of sliding to the left, almost as though certain people are wanting to, start to ingratiate themselves to the incoming administration now, rather than wait until he's actually in office, assuming he does end up in office. But I have noticed that, and I don't think I'm mistaken. I feel like there's something to that. Michael Fallon, saw your PTR 9CT review. Which 30-round magazine do you prefer, the HK or the KCI, or the clear plastic? Yeah, I know the plastic magazines run fine, but I always, with that type of a firearm, I always tend to gravitate back to the metal magazines. Now, I'll run PMags in my ARs and not think twice about it. So that's just, I know it's just a mental thing for me, but I tend to stick with the metal magazines in that type of a platform. Alan S., hello from England. Hello, Alan. Glad you made it. How would you feel about doing one of your pistol reviews on a classic Webley Mark VI revolver in 455? I would love it. I've never shot a Webley, but I love the classic lines of those revolvers. I think they look great. I'd love to shoot one. So if I ever get my hands on one, you'll definitely see that in a video. And the 455 cartridge is just a classic revolver round. I would love that all the way around. P. Joseph is with us. Good morning. I'm glad you made it. I guess it's not morning there, so I guess I'll say good afternoon. It's probably, 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that. So thanks for joining us. John Ski, Georgia weather right now is 37 degrees. Wow. Oh, I guess 37 at night, up to 69 during the day. Okay, well, I don't feel too bad for you then. Although it's been pretty warm here the last couple of days. It's been up to daytime highs are up in the mid 40s, 45 or thereabouts. Then at nighttime, it drops back down somewhere freezing or a little below. So we're not real cold here yet as Ohio goes, but it's coming. I know it's coming. The Jimbo Man 1. I'm not a particular fan of the 1911 platform for modern combat or carry, but Bull Armory seems to have high-quality weapons. Might go to the ultralight carry model. Be careful. If you go 1911, you won't go back. Ad H, which is your preferred pump shotgun, Mossberg, Remington, or Winchester? Got to go with the Remington 870. Got to dance with who brung me. That's the shotgun that I first was trained on back when I was in the Marine Corps. We had the old Vietnam era. They were called the Mark IVs or the Mark Vs or something like that, but they were essentially a Remington 870. Got out of the Marine Corps. That's what I was trained on in the police academy. That's what I've used my entire career. I've used other shotguns different times. I kind of like the 1187 police model. I'm one of the few people that likes that thing. But if I got to pick a favorite, it's going to be the Remington 870. Dale Kidd, I find it odd that the so-called ammo shortage seems to be far less serious up here in Canada. That makes me suspect you guys are being messed with. Who knows what the distribution situation is? It could be that there was just a lot more stockpiled in Canada at the various distributors, and they're selling it at the normal pace. Canadians aren't buying it like crazy like it's going on down here. Whereas in the United States, all of those stockpiles are gone, and now everybody has to wait for the ammunition manufacturers to actually create the stuff and get it shipped out. But yeah, who knows? And this ammunition situation really is concerning me. Who got all the primers? Good question. Not me. Black Rifle gave my son a Kimber 1911 government model. Performed well for 10 years before he passed it off to his son because he picked up Springfield Armory 1911. Good, and that's one of the good ones. And you know, I'll hear a story like that or an account like that, and then somebody else will have a Kimber and they'll say it won't run for anything, and they've sent it back and tried to get it fixed, and it still doesn't work right. So it just all seems to depend on the pistol. Lonnie Porter has lots of 38 special brass. I got from a former coworker, but tough even finding the reloading components. I know. It took me a while to find bullets. I finally found some bullets, the Extreme bullets, which are plated bullets. I found some of those on their site and was able to order some for 9mm. I have no idea what their 38s might be like, but I did manage to find some of those in stock. Now, that's been a while back. I don't know what the situation is right now, but I've got a few primers. I've got some powder. I've got quite a bit of brass, but the bullets seem to be the things I'm having the hard time finding. Connor Tags, heard the Beretta 96, you can swap the barrel out for a 9mm barrel. Was just wondering, was just doing the barrel shop, wonder if it would even run reliably. I don't know. I've not heard of that particular one before. I would think that it would require a different recoil spring, but I don't know for sure. So I don't know. You'll have to let us know if that works for you or not. Mr. Firebird V8, what do you think of the SIG 229 and 357 SIG? I have no experience whatsoever with 357 SIG. That's just a cartridge I've never used. The SIG 229, the SIG pistols are good pistols. There's nothing wrong with them. I've never particularly cared for them myself. They're a little on the big side for me, kind of big and clunky. And I ran a SIG a while back. I don't know if you saw the qualification video where I used it for one of the courses, and I can't remember if it was a 228 or a 229 chambered for the 45 ACP cartridge. And I just don't really care for them. They're just not my cup of tea. Like I said, nothing wrong with them. Good pistols. I prefer other things. Lonnie Porter it's been left for decades, just more overt now. Well, you're probably right. Chris Giampo, good morning, Chris. And black rifle, blackout, small power failure. Oh, okay. He got disconnected. Well, I'm glad you're back with us, Rick. GC, Northeast Florida has been under 40 at night and in the 60s during the day. Floridians are freezing. Yeah, and that's some pretty cool temperatures down that way. Acceleration rules, go Browns. Black Rifle 870 is awesome. He has a 32-inch full choke duck gun. That should work well. Ken Kong 4545, enjoy your work. Thanks, Ken. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us this morning. Dale Kid, pouring rain and 7 degrees Celsius up here in southwestern Ontario this morning. And you're going to have to translate that for me, because when I see temperature in Celsius, it just doesn't compute. I have to like put it into my phone and try to convert it. I have no idea what that would be like. I know 0 Celsius is freezing, so you're somewhere above freezing, but I just don't know where exactly. Rabbi is with us. Didn't know that this was today. Hi, everyone. Good morning, Rabbi. I'm glad you joined us. 357 SIG was supposed to be the end-all and be-all of pistol ammo. The thing that strikes me about that is when I compare the paper ballistics, anyway, to the 38 Super that's been around forever, since 1929, I think. The ballistics are very similar. The SIG is a little faster with the 125 or 124 grain bullets that it pushes, but not that much. And I've never been able to figure out why the 357 SIG has attained the popularity it has, although it's not as popular as, say, 9mm Parabellum or 45 ACP or something like that. But the 38 Super has remained in relative obscurity. Now, it could just be the fact that the 357 SIG, based on the 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge, can be chambered in double column magazines. Maybe that's the reason, whereas the 38 Super tends to be, a 1911 straight stack magazine. I don't know, but I've just never quite understood that when I compare the ballistics between the two. I really do like the 38 Super, though. I enjoy shooting that cartridge a lot. Frank Butta is with us. Good morning, Frank. Ad H, good man, Remington 870 user here too. Just got a cheap used 12-gauge express model. Love the Parkerized finish. And I'll tell you something, that Parkerized finish is great for Duracoating. And it'd take me a little bit to get one of my shotguns, I guess, but I've got several of them that I've Duracoated over that rough Parkerized finish. It looks great. It sticks well, so you can do a lot of things with them if you want to change the color or the appearance. Ben Crane, heard that when you run a license plate in Ohio, it shows the officer if the driver has a CHL. Could you speak if that is true? Well, it shows whether the registered owner has a concealed handgun license. Now, whether or not the registered owner is driving or not is another matter. So if someone's driving a car and an officer stops the car, or an officer runs the license plate, and the registered owner has a concealed handgun license, in the information that comes back on the computer in the cruiser, it will show that person has a concealed handgun license. But again, you never know who's driving the car until you actually get it stopped and walk up there and identify that person. Talking Rock, polymer or steel pistol? Steel. No, I use a lot of the polyguns. My usual everyday work gun is an M&P 40, so obviously it's got the polymer frame. But given my choice between the two, for just a fun range shooting pistol, I'll opt for the steel. By the way, at the risk of being kicked off of YouTube, here is today's live stream pistol. This is my CZ P01, and you'll notice I have a matching green O-light attached to the front of it. That's courtesy of ERJG. He provided me with that light, and I like it because it's color coordinated. So I got the color coordination between my pistol, my light, and my Jeep. How cool is that? And I got to find where we were here. Mark Hammond is with us. Good morning, Mark, from snowy Wisconsin. Now, I told somebody yesterday, the last time I was in Wisconsin, it looked like the North Pole. I was up there for cold weather training when I was in the Marine Corps. A little tiny place called Volk Field, which was next to another little tiny town called Camp Douglas, if you know where that is. Is there any way you could show a photo? Wait a second. I lost something there. It's starting to go too fast for me. Is there any way you could show that photo in the background with the 1911 cutaway? Oh, that's actually a P-35 high power. It's not a 1911. But yeah, hold on. There you go. It's courtesy of BH Spring Solutions. And I've got this one, and the other two are also pictures of a P-35. I've got a Mark III on the one side, and then a classic P-35 high power on the other. But yeah, just some of the decorations in my little home office here. And now I got to find where I was. Dale Kidd referenced SIGs. That's odd. A lot of 1911 fans tend to like SIGs. I guess part of my problem is some of the first SIGs I shot belonged to our Ohio State Patrol troopers, and I went to some training down there and used their pistols. And they had the double action only version of the 226, I think it was. And those things just had a horrendous trigger pull. They were awful.
Are you live?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm leaving. Bye.
Bye. Okay. I have no idea who that woman was, by the way. I got to find where we were. Okay. John Ski, if you like the 357 Magnum, you'd like the 357 SIG. Out of an automatic. That's probably true. And sooner or later, I'll get around to shooting one. I just haven't yet. CZ or Beretta? Wow. I think I did a video on that. Whichever one you like the best, because they're both extremely good pistols. Connor tags, bigger hole lets in more air and lets out more blood. 45 ACP just works. Well, it's been working for what, about 115 years now, something like that. Black rifle can cast lead. That's something I have never done, is cast my own bullets. I'd like to sometime, just to try to give it a try, and also because I think it's probably a little more economical for especially certain things like 38 specials and some of the other revolver rounds. I think it would be nice to be able to cast my own bullets. Approximately 42 degrees, so now I know what the temperature is up there. And John Ski, 357 SIG, 125 grain at 1400. I know that's what it's rated at, and I can drive the 125 grains out of my 38 Supers at about 1350. So that's what I mean. It's a little ahead of the Super, but not by very much. GC, the 9mm class rounds are pretty close. 357 SIG was intended to put and I knew that was what the idea behind it was, basically to put the 357 Magnum revolver ballistics into a semi-auto platform. The SIG SXT is good for, wait a second. SIG SXT is as good as any of the 1911s that I've had. Okay. I look forward to an upcoming Chief Funk video. By the way, if you guys don't know, ERJG is my supplier for a lot of these firearms the ones that don't belong to me and show up in videos. A lot of them come from him. So pass on a big thanks to him for that. Gideon Davis. So I'm about to testify against a fellow who lit a dog on fire. Holy smokes. When he is free, I think he'll try to kill me. What would you be suggesting? without knowing anything about this person or where you live or what your circumstance is, it's hard for me to give you any kind of advice. Also, without knowing, what's going to happen with this guy as far as sentencing and whether he's going to be incarcerated or how long or anything else. But I would say take the matter seriously. If you think this person is a threat, take whatever steps you think are necessary to keep yourself and your family safe. Obviously, if you see him in the area or definitely on your property, call 911, get help there. But like I said, do what you need to do to keep yourself safe. And I've got somebody checking in with writing in Hangul, which I recognize from when I was in Korea. But the name appears to be Russian. So we have somebody here, some multilingual, saying hi. And hi to you. I can't pronounce your name or can't read it, but thanks for joining us. And this just took a jump on me. Hey, Rabbi saying, hey, get this, guys. My comment with the word freedom got clipped by YouTube. Oh, for crying out loud. And I don't see that. The only thing I see on the feed over here is it'll say something like, comment retracted or something like that. I never know what was said or why it was removed from there. So that's obnoxious. Color coordination extends to the hoodie. How about that? I didn't even think about that. This is my CMP hoodie from up at Camp Perry that I'm wearing this morning. So this is always nice this time of year. OD beats the FDE. Oh my God, a photo of a gun. Big feller is waving. How's it going? Glad to see you here. 9mm Mac you were talking about was the FEG. Now that you say that, I think it was an FEG, and it basically looked like a Walther PPK or Walther PP, made in Hungary. And I've got one of the Charles Daly HPs that started life as an FEG parts kit, and they sent them over here. They were imported by I can't think of the name of the importer at that time, and they were finished by Dan Wesson Firearms and then sold under the Charles Daly name. But that thing is really a good pistol, and like I said, it started life as an FEG parts kit coming over. Ad H, your thoughts on why did the U.S. military choose the SIG over the M9A3? I don't know. And I've got the M9A3. I've used it in a couple of videos. I really like that pistol. I think it adds a lot. I tend to think the people in the military just wanted something different. I think it just came down to that. For whatever reason, they didn't want to stick with the Beretta platform. They wanted something with a polymer frame. Now, I suppose they'll talk about how, it's modular and they can take it apart and they can take the fire control out and drop it into another frame. But, how often is that really going to happen? We're talking about the military, for crying out loud. They're going to have, the M17s in this rack, the M18s in this rack, and they're going to issue people whichever one they think is going to work best for them. So I don't know. It really surprises me that they didn't at least look at the M9A3 because it's such a good pistol, and it seemed to solve a lot of the issues that the military, quote unquote, historically had with the M9 in terms of the grip profile and contour and all that kind of thing. So I don't know. It is a mystery to me, and I guess you have to be a high-ranking member of the military to be able to understand that thinking. Chris saying hi to Mrs. Funk. A moment of romance. That was the shift command. SIG DAK system is terrible. Yeah, if that's the double action only, and I think it is, it was awful. Dale Kid, enough said. DAO SIGs suck. Carson Branham would love me a 1911 Insert 38 Super. I've got one. It's an American Classic too, and I really like it. Kevin Jung, that PO1 is my favorite. Love the green. I like it too. I've now had this thing for about 3 weeks or so. I just had it out again, shooting it yesterday. I qualified with it back during the middle of the week for my department. And I actually do have to qualify with firearms for my department, not just the ones that I do in the videos. But took it out, shot a perfect score with it, and really didn't even try that hard. Now, that said, our Ohio course is far from a challenging qualification, but even so, fun to shoot. It runs great. Did well with our duty ammo, which is 124 grain Spear Gold Dot plus P ammo, and just a really good, solid little firearm. And Talking Rock, SIG 226. My Legion has a smooth DA pull. Okay, good. And maybe I just need to try one of the newer ones. Maybe that's the problem. Black Rifle, Army trained at Fort McCoy, Wisconsin. Yep. When I was at that cold weather training that I was talking about, we went to Fort McCoy for something. The snow must have been 3 feet tall or 3 feet deep while I was up there, maybe deeper in some areas. And I remember trudging around through that. I like Rabbi's comment about the guy that set the dog on fire. If he shows up, light him on fire. Kevin Jung, if you load your own, you can powder coat them very cheaply. And that's another thing that I'm seeing a lot of information about these days is doing your own powder coating. So sooner or later, I may well give casting my own bullets a try. Like I said, it's one of the things that has been in the back of my mind for a long time, and I've just never gotten around to doing it. And particularly if this ammunition drought keeps up, I might start to do that sooner rather than later. Rabbi, the M9A3 is probably more expensive. When you think about the amount of money the military has to spend and the number of firearms that they buy and everything else, it probably was more expensive because it would have more machining than the pistol that they selected. But is it going to make that much difference to our military? I don't know. I tend to think it was something other than price that drove that purchase. Glenn McGinnis, hi HR, thanks for great videos. You convinced me to get back into high power shooting and I'm having a blast. Good for you. I am glad to hear it. Glad you're having fun. Dale Kidd, SIG versus M9A3 and grip size. You know, the thing though with the M9A3 is it came with the two different grips. The one was the Vertex style with the straight back strap and the thinner grip panels. And that was significantly smaller in terms of circumference than the original M9. And also for people that like the bigger one, it had the Hogue overmolded grip that could go on. And I don't really think it was grip size. I don't think that was it. Again, I really think it almost comes down to they just wanted something different. And I'm just going down through the feed here. Christopher Lawrence, greetings from the Defensive Carry Forums. Thank you for joining us, Christopher. Appreciate you being here. 2A Dad, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to all of you. And if you don't happen to celebrate Christmas, as I said earlier in the video, I hope that you have a festive December, celebrating whatever you happen to December or whatever you happen to celebrate. I can't talk this morning. Not enough coffee yet. Dale Kidd, reference Ohio quals. Do you as chief have the capacity to toughen the course for your own department above the state requirement? The short answer to that is yes, but you know there's going to be a but, right? In order to do that, you have to devise a course and then send it to the state and they have to approve it. Once you do that, once you deviate from the state norm, you are incurring a liability upon yourself individually and your department as an entity. Because now, if you have a situation where there's a use of force and whatever was done is questioned, instead of saying the state standard is what you used for your training and for qualifying your officers, you now might be in a position where you have to justify whatever you came up with that deviated from that state standard. And it's one of those situations where it may or may not make any difference in terms of whether or not a department or an individual is going to be held liable for whatever was done. But most agencies will err on the side of caution and stick with that state mandated course, largely for that reason. Rabbi, probably not, because there are such, something is telling me my connection is unstable. So is everybody still here? The feed is still moving, so hopefully we're still here. Because depending on the assignment of the officers and the type of department and everything else, the requirements could be different for the officers, or maybe I'm doing a bad job of explaining this. The critical skills that they need to master could be slightly different. For example, a county deputy working out in the wide open spaces might need to emphasize a little bit more on long range shooting, whereas an undercover drug agent might need to work more on drawing from cover and very fast close range shooting. So I don't think and that's part of the problem. And Ohio has tried to do this, to come up with a one size fits all qualification course that ends up being a one size fits none. I really wish they would do more like the state of Maryland did. I don't know if you guys saw that qualification that I did. And Ohio actually did something like this years ago, back in the late 80s and early 90s, where individual firearms instructors were allowed to devise the qualification course for their agency. And the problem was, at that time, there were no guidelines on how to do that. So you had wide-ranging different types of qualification courses all across the state, with each different agency with whatever they came up with. In Maryland, they've got a set of guidelines that the courses have to meet in terms of, how many shots are fired and what distances they're fired from, and they have to have a reloading stage, and they have to have this and they have to have that. And I really like that, because once those things are in place and everybody has to adhere to all of those type of things, but then they have the ability to create the course they want around those guidelines and emphasize the type of critical skills that are going to be most important for their officers. I think that's kind of the best of both worlds there. And I would really like to see more states go that route. And this thing has been running like crazy over here, so I'm going to back up and see what I missed. Might take me a second here. Frank Buddha, a guy who was just executed for setting a couple on fire. All Hollywood was crying for the murderer, as well as the liberal media. Yeah. John Ski, rifles, not pistols, are the main weapon of the military infantry soldiers. Pistols are more like badges of rank. Depending on their assignment. I mean, as a military policeman, I carried a pistol almost every day, and that was really my primary firearm. And it was for, obviously, close range defensive use. And, there are assignments in the military. If you're thinking frontline infantry, that's true. The rifle is the primary weapon always for frontline infantry. But there are other troops that need to be armed, and a lot of them are armed with pistols more frequently than you might realize. Grinning Fool, haven't been able to buy any 9mm ammunition in months. I know. And primers are gone and everything else. It's, somebody sold you 2,000 rounds of 45 ACP for $800. Well, good. I'm glad you're able to get that. Yeah, and it is time to break out to 1911. Happy Festivus. Chris Giampo's headed off to work. See you, Chris. Have a good day. Stay safe. Ben Crane, time for airing of grievances. Jimbo Man's headed out. Take care again. Thanks for joining us. Christopher Lawrence, so polite and well-spoken. Thank you. How do you deal with belligerent people when you're on duty? I can't imagine you getting angry. I always say that I try to be as pleasant to people as they will allow me to be. And if I can handle things just like this conversationally, giving information, whatever. And what I find is the better you are at talking to people, the less often you have to fight with them. Now, that doesn't mean it never comes to the point of a fight, because I've definitely been in my share of fights. But most people, if you communicate with them effectively, will go along with the program. Even some people that historically have had problems with police officers and the legal system and everything else. But most of the time, I found that's the case. But there are times you have to learn when to take a more assertive attitude with people, when to maintain where you are, and when to dial it down a little, really to be able to communicate effectively and be able to persuade people to do the things you would like them to do rather than try to make them do what you want them to do, if that makes sense. Connor tags, it's toasty 34 degrees here in Kansas. Okay. I don't know if I'd call that toasty. Why is it legal for prosecutors? Wait a second, what? Why is it legal for prosecutors to lie in court, but civilians get 5 years for lying? And do you think it's fair? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you mean. That nobody can lie in court. I mean, prosecutors or defense attorneys are not under oath, but they can't outright lie. So I'm not sure what you mean. I don't know what you're getting at there. Mike Bennett, when I was a Marine, they took the 1911 and gave me an M9. I had nothing but malfunctions with it. They went through 8 weapons before they got me a good one. That's too bad to hear. My M9, now, of course, it's a commercial M9, runs like a top. That thing is great. And we go down through here. Rabbi says this is fascinating stuff. And is reloading for pistols the way forward? Could be. Reloading in general, if we can get components. And I should say, if we can get components at a reasonable price. Have you had a chance to try out the new M17/M18? Only just handling them and looking at them. I haven't fired one yet. I would like to. Sooner or later, I'd like to do that. I'd like to do a comparison between an M17 and the M9A3. I think that would be a fun video. But I got to get a hold of an M17 in order to be able to do that. John Ski, 9mm box of 50 for sale for only $250. Jeez. GCJT, I'm using 30-year-old ammo and working my way up. Getting a Colt Series 70 Mark IV out of the safe. Good. I'm glad you're getting that pistol out. At least you're going to be shooting a good one. Johnny Nanya, good morning. Is now a good time for getting into black powder revolvers for fun? Thanks for the great content. I like shooting black powder revolvers. I think they're just fun to begin with. And this might be a good time just to give you something to shoot and something to enjoy. You can't crank off as many rounds as quickly with a black powder revolver as you can, say, a semi-auto pistol. And that in and of itself saves you some time, it saves you some money, but it's a very pleasant type of shooting experience, and it's a lot of fun. So if you have an interest in black powder, I would say go ahead and give it a try. Legal liability issues suck. Seems like the system works against itself most of the time. Yeah, that's true. And it looks like I've gone back ahead of where I was before. Dan Byers, Ship's Defense Force. We were trained with all of the weapons from the shotgun to the M14 to the M60 to the 50 cal, and of course the beloved 1911. Of course, I'm going to guess that's been a while since you were in the Navy. Black Rifle, Howard. I have to go sit in a tree stand for a while. All right. Well, good luck, Rick. I hope you find some. Attila A, Simplify HR. I'll always support the police until they start enforcing unconstitutional laws. And I get what you're saying, and I hope it doesn't come to that. My father said the opposite. He hated the 1911 and loved his M9. I suppose it all depends on the individual and, you know, how well the pistol worked for them and what specific pistol they were issued and everything else. So I'm glad the M9 worked well for your father. Ben Crane found diversity in calibers helps in the ammo crunch. Yeah, it is nice to be able to have, and that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm working my way through a lot of different types of cartridges and a lot of different firearms. So I'm not using all of, say, 9mm ammunition or all of 45 ACP or whatever. I'm kind of spreading it around and using a little of everything. Carson Branham, HR, thank you for your awesome vids. Love the black powder content along with all the rest. Very nice variety, fresh air on a friendly 2A channel. Well, thank you. Thank you, Carson. I should start selling ammo if it's going for so much. Ruger P series thoughts. I'm not sure. I'm not the world's greatest expert on Ruger pistols. If you're talking about all the way back to like the P85 and the P89 and P90 and all those, I was never a huge fan of those things. I had a friend that I used to work with a long time ago. He had one of the original P85s, and I think he traded it on a P89, and I really didn't care for either one. Big, heavy pistols, extremely long double action pulls, just never cared for those. Now, I think some of the newer Ruger semi-autos they're putting out these days are a lot more refined, but I just don't have a lot of experience with them, so I can't comment too much. Tactical Mischief, picked up and training with the M18, carried an M9 in Afghanistan, loved it. Still shoot the M9 better than the M18. The M18 has so much potential. Good, and I'm glad to hear that. Dealing with people, as soon as you raise your voice or lose your temper, you give up your moral upper hand. Sometimes, but there are other times that you kind of have to, you might have to take it up just to get their attention or to stop a situation, and then try to bring it back down to a more conversational level. It just, everybody has their own style. And if in law enforcement, to learn to talk to people effectively is one of the hardest skills there is. And it's something that can't really be taught. You have to learn it on your own, and you have to learn it over the years of talking to people. Some of it is just maturing as a person. But I've known police officers that never, ever learn to do that. They're always either way up here talking down to people, or they're always way down here and people are walking all over them. And those officers tend to have the hardest time, but it really does depend on the individual, I think. Any experience with the 35 Remington cartridge? Yes. In fact, I just finished up 2 videos with the Henry side-loading rifle that's chambered for the 35 Remington. I also have a Marlin 336 chambered for the 35 Remington. I very much like that cartridge. I think it's great. I wish I could use it for deer hunting here in Ohio, but since it's a bottleneck cartridge, it's not legal. But I'm a big fan of the 35 Remington. And I'm just kind of going down through here trying to find where we are. James Pruitt recently bought a Remington 760 pump in 35 Remington. That's probably a cool rifle. That sounds neat. I like that. Oh, Rick is still with us. Took an issue M9 pistol into combat along with an M24, and it never failed you. You're still here, so I believe you. Dan Byers retired in 1995. Is your wife a proficient shooter when it comes down to it? Our family members are our primary backups. Let's just say you don't want to be anywhere in front of my wife if she's shooting. So yeah, she can normally hit what she's shooting at. GCJT, the pistol must fit the hand. I was good with a 1911, but the CZ or Browning high power was too big. Yeah, a lot of it does come down to how the pistol fits your hand, which is why I don't care for the Glock pistols. I just don't like the way they fit my hand. Or I should say, I don't like the way they don't fit my hand. Joe Morgan, good morning. Overslept, that's okay. And trying to make it down here. Do you plan on getting an M17 or M18 now they're U.S. military pistols? I'd like to. I don't see them a lot. It seems like those things go pretty quickly, but the prices that I've seen, at least back before everything went crazy, weren't all that bad. So I wouldn't mind adding a M17 or an M18 eventually. Kevin Jung, I know it's not fun, but I can still get 22. My CMMG conversion has been, and 22s are fun to break out every now and then. And if you got a conversion kit and you got a good supply of 22 ammunition, go ahead and get some work with that. In fact, maybe I need to get out a few of my 22s and run some ammo through them. Have you tried any of the Ruger PC carbines? No, I haven't. I've seen those things. I hear a lot of good things about them, but I've not shot one myself. That's another one sooner or later I'd like to get around to trying. Dan Byers, you have the best down to a second 2A channel. Being around a lot of Marines in my career just feels like going home. Good. I'm glad you feel that way, Dan. Big feller, got to run. Thanks for joining us. Going to look at some Jeep Cherokees today. All right. Well, I hope you find a good one. 2A Dad, why are bottleneck cartridges not legal for hunting in some jurisdictions? That's a great question. And in Ohio, when I was a kid, the only thing you could hunt with were shotguns, black powder rifles, and bows and arrows. And over the years, handgun hunting came around and it was finally legalized. That was back in the early 90s. And then eventually they started to allow rifles and carbines chambered for straight wall handgun cartridges to be used, but still we can't use bottleneck cartridges. I hate that. I don't think there's any sense to it, but that's just the law here in Ohio. Dale Kid, yes, heard about Ohio game regs. Ridiculous. Yep. Yeah, I could use a 30-06 to shoot a groundhog, and that's perfectly fine, but I can't use a 35 Remington to shoot a deer. How much sense does that make? Thoughts on Portland police retreating from the leftist Antifa, beating them back? That whole situation out on the West Coast is just, it's disheartening. It's sickening. And I empathize with the police out there because if they take an action, they know that the people above them, the politicians, aren't going to have their back. They're not going to be backing them up, and they're going to throw them under the bus at a chance they get. So, I mean, it's really a bad situation all the way around. And the people that suffer the most are the citizens that live in those jurisdictions. Attila A, have an M1A SOCOM. Like it a lot better than the AR-15. How do you think they compare? It depends on what you're using them for. And, if you want that extra potency of the 762 cartridge, by all means, the SOCOM is a great platform. If you want something that's a little bit lighter and you don't need that extra power of the 762, The AR is just going to be a little easier to tote both the rifle itself and the ammunition. So it just depends on your usage. Can't wait for CMP this summer. I hope we have it this summer. 35 Remington is one of the best hunting grounds in North America. And it doesn't get nearly as much attention as I think it should. I've had the same experience as you have in law enforcement. Knowing which approach to use in a given situation is extremely difficult to master and develops over time with experience. I agree, Glenn. And I really think some of it is just maturing as a person, growing up, spending more years on this planet, interacting with more people, and just if you're smart and you take the time to develop those communication skills, that really sets those officers apart from the ones who don't. And you can definitely see the difference. Might be one of the only shooters that the 1911 doesn't fit. No, you're not the only one, Scott. There are other ones that have problems with the 1911. Rick's commenting about my wife, saying she's a Carolina girl. They're all good shots. Yeah, my wife's originally from South Carolina. I always tease her that she's now lived in Ohio longer than she lived in South Carolina, so that makes her more of an Ohioan. That makes her happy. Yeah, it makes her real happy. 350 Legend is a cool round. I'd like to try the 350 Legend someday. I think that's an interesting cartridge. I hope that it has, a long life, that it's not one of these things that's around for a couple of years and you never hear about it again. But I really want to give one of those a try. I'd like to see it chambered in a nice lever gun. How do you like the 6-speed manual transmission? I love it. I love driving my new Jeep. It is so much fun. And being back in the 2-door version, you can just feel that it handles a little quicker than the 4-door version. And I really like it. It's a lot of fun. Lonnie Porter. Now I understand the distaste for Glock. Jay Threlf, I guess that's how you pronounce that. As police chief, who are you accountable to? The mayor, town council? Ever get any issues with your channel? I'm directly accountable to the mayor and to a lesser degree to city council. Obviously, I'm ultimately accountable to the people in the community. No, I've never had anybody take issue with my channel. Nobody has, made any nasty comments or said they, don't like any of my content. Now, my village where I work is in rural Ohio, which tends to be a lot more firearm friendly than, say, downtown Cleveland. But no, and a lot of people don't even know about the channel, and the ones that do are very favorable in their comments about it. So no issues whatsoever. And give me a second here. Okay. Merry Christmas, Rick. Good luck. 6-pack American. You are a chill. Okay. Jerry Stratus, appreciate your candor HR. Greetings from Oregon. Greetings, Jerry. Thanks for joining us. Draco, hello. Question, I'm in my early 40s too. Too late to become a cop? It's probably not too late, depending on the department. But what I realized, particularly as I got into my 40s, and now that I'm in my 50s, there are a lot of things that really start to wear on you a lot more than they did back when you were in your 20s and your 30s. The shifts, particularly midnight shift for me, really started to wear on me. Doing the thing where you get off at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, and then you have to be in court at 10 o'clock in the morning, and you're in court all day long, and then you get off and you got to go back in at 11 o'clock that night. Those kind of things, when you're younger, don't take nearly the toll on you that they do when you get a little bit older. So a lot of it depends on you. A lot of it depends on the department. It's really hard for me to give you a lot of guidance in that. particularly with the area where you live, take a good look at the environment you'll be going into, because there could be some issues that not only is associated with your age, but just some other issues with the situation you'd be getting yourself into that could be somewhat unpleasant. Let's see. I saw another question there about snub-nose revolvers. Do you see snub-nose revolvers and single-stack pistols growing in demand, or do you anticipate? First off, I see all firearms right now growing in demand. It seems like it's getting harder and harder to even find anything that is available to purchase. But I don't know. I mean, I think everybody's in a holding pattern right now to see what, if any, legislation is going to be coming down the pike, and then you're going to see the market start to shift toward whatever firearms are going to be permissible under those new regulations. Rabbi is out of here. See you, Rabbi. You have a happy New Year too. Happy Hanukkah. Take care and stay safe. Thoughts on Kyle Rittenhouse? I have not heard anything about that case for a while. There was a big thing a while back that I think he was transferred back to the jurisdiction where that took place, and I haven't heard much lately, so I'm kind of curious what the state of all that is. Scott Person. Oh, okay, he's talking to Rabbi. Draco Sorrow's late. I'm glad you made it. That's okay. John Ski needs to get out with that Henry lever action side loader. And I'm going to try to catch up here if I can. And if I pass over any of your comments or your questions, I apologize. I'm trying to keep up with all this over here, and it's a little bit of a challenge. Somebody's asking if I know about some of the deer regulations, and I really don't. I don't know what's going on with that. Have you shot a CZ72 or a CZ Shadow 2? No, I have not. I haven't shot one. Heard good things about them, but haven't shot one. Rich Klein joining late. You as a policeman, what are your thoughts on what's been going on around the country? Negative attitudes toward the police. And I've talked about this before. I don't know. And I was talking to somebody about this just yesterday. I don't know if it's, the COVID thing. I don't know if it's the time of year. I don't know if it's, the election, but it just seems like everybody is on edge lately. And the police tend to get the brunt of that in some instances. We had everything that was going on back over the summer, which, obviously the holidays weren't a factor then, but it's just not a good time in our country. And I hope things change soon. They probably don't know what the hell YouTube is. And I'm just zipping down through some of these comments. Dale Kidd, Chief, I have to tell you a funny one day about a cop I knew just outside Cleveland. Okay. Depending on who it is, I might know him. For someone who doesn't like a Glock, you handle one as well or better than I do. Yeah, I can shoot a Glock. I can make myself do it. I just don't prefer to if I have something else that I like better that's available. Virginia 7, Merry Christmas to you. Do you plan to be conveniently cleaning guns when your daughter dates start paying? No, I've just got all my pictures of me and my sniper gear hanging around the house in different places. My Bang Steel sticker that says 1200 Yard Club. I have that up somewhere. Would you ever do a video with another 2A YouTuber, say Richard from Small Caliber Arms? He's in Ohio, or another serving officer. Yeah, I'd be up for that. I don't know if they would. I've had people ask me before questions like that, like with Paul Harrell or somebody. And I think it'd be fun, but I don't know how they would feel. They might not want me on the same screen with them. Ben Crane, would you advise picking up some 10-round magazines so you can shoot them in public? if they ban standard AR magazines. I don't know. I think right now we need to just kind of wait and see what, if anything, is going to happen. There's still so much that's up in the air. It's hard to predict the future or look into a crystal ball and say, yeah, this is what we need to do, or that's what we need to do, until we have a little bit more of an idea of what direction things are going to go. Can you say peanuts without a T? Rittenhouse is set to stand trial on all counts. And I kind of knew that it was, in the process or in the legal process. But as far as what's happening with any kind of pretrial motions or, anything that's going on now leading up to the trial, I don't have any idea. And that all seems to be very hush-hush. And what scope is the best for my RTI Priest 2? Again, that's a lot of this comes down to what kind of shooting you're going to be doing. If you're looking at long range shooting, I like my Leupold scopes. I've used those for a long time. Some of you know that I've been working back and forth a little bit this last year or so with the Hilux Optics company. They make a Pentalux, which a lot of people have good things to say about for long range performance. Some of the really high dollar scopes, the US Optics and things like that, a lot of people speak highly about. It's so much of it comes down to you, what you're planning on doing, how far you're planning on shooting, how much money you have to spend. I guess I would need a little bit more information to try to give you some advice there. What is your opinion on 10 millimeter pistols and carbines? I like the 10 millimeter cartridge a lot. I've got a couple of pistols. Don't have any carbines chambered for it yet, but I might have to change that someday because it is just such a nice, potent semi-auto cartridge. Have you read or watched Hillbilly LG? And does anything ring familiar being from rural Ohio? You know what? No. I think it's Hillbillyology. My wife has read that, and she was talking about it the other day. I have not read it. I think I probably need to. Vic Villalon just signed in. Good morning from Texas. Picked up recently a Stoeger STR9 for the price. Outstanding feel or thoughts on one? You know what? I would like to try one of those out. I've seen some videos on them, and I looked at them on their website. They look like an interesting pistol. I would really like to try one and just get a feel for it. Did you consider waiting and cross-shopping with the new Bronco over the Wrangler? Very briefly, until I found out that the Bronco is not going to be released until sometime next summer at best. So I decided I was going to stick with my Wrangler. Trump should pardon Kyle on his last day in office. That'd get people's attention. And Mursukavele, Merry Christmas to you from Finland. Well, Merry Christmas to you. Thanks for joining us all the way from Finland. And I think I'm actually finally catching up here. Mursukavele, shoot a Mosin again. Rifle up to 500 meters with open sights. Good shooting. That's real good shooting. I know some people around here that shoot Mosins. I've seen people shoot them up at Camp Perry out to 600 yards. I don't know how well they've done with them, but I do know that there are people that use them up there. Soho Spice, Merry Christmas from Hong Kong. Well, Merry Christmas to you. Like the Winter War Sniper. And I've read and heard a little bit about him. I don't know nearly as much as I probably should, but I have heard of him. And John Clark, hello from Akron, Canton. So I've got somebody close by that's joining us. All right, we've been at this for just about an hour and a half, and it's probably time for me to refill my coffee, which is empty. And probably should wrap this up. But thanks to all of you for joining this morning. This has been a lot of fun. And like I said, moving forward, it's probably going to be not as frequent in the next couple of weeks with my posting of videos, just because of the holidays and everything else. So if you go a Wednesday or a Saturday and there's not a video, don't panic. I'm still here. And once we get past the first of the year, the video production will pick back up, hopefully. But just in the next few weeks, particularly, you might not see as many videos coming out. That was one message that I did want to get out into the live stream today. Thanks to all of you again for joining. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas and a happy and safe New Year. As I said at the beginning, if you don't celebrate Christmas, I hope you have a happy and safe December. And whatever holidays or festivities that you enjoy this time of year, I hope they are wonderful. And I will see you all, well, I'll see you all in the videos over the course of the next few weeks. And one of these days, I'll fire up the camera again. We'll do another live stream. So thanks again to everyone. Take care. Have a good day. And until next time, good shooting. Bye-bye.